What's going on, guys? Farzin Vasugian here with you on a Red Friday because it is the Red Friday live chat. Thank you all for joining me. Welcome in. Pull up a chair, kick back, chill out. Let's talk some Chiefs football. Let's talk some NFL. Let's get right into it, guys. How are you guys feeling? We're still waiting on the official injury report from the Chargers, which is understandable because they're way out there on the West Coast. So we may get their injury report at some point during the Red Friday live chat, but I think it's pretty obvious to everybody what's going to end up happening here. It appears that we're going to see the Chargers without both of their offensive tackles, Slater and Alt, two great offensive tackles. And Joey Bosa also not expected to play in this game here. So a lot of issues over there. And that doesn't even include Derwin James, his suspension. They've got their kick returner that's dealing with some injuries. They've got issues on offense, defense, and special teams. I mean, listen, the Chiefs have had their fair share of injuries with Isaiah Pacheco and Hollywood Brown. And I don't want to sit here and say, well, outside of those two guys, everyone else has been great because, everyone else has been practicing for the Chiefs. We did learn today that Mike Dana will not play on Sunday, which is unfortunate because I think this was an opportunity for Mike Dana to have a big game and go off against the Chargers with their missing offensive tackles. But I don't think a lot of Chiefs fans are going to be too worried about it. And that's no disrespect to Mike Dana. It's just you have a lot of confidence in Felix Anudike-Uzomah to play against a backup offensive tackle, even though he hasn't done a whole lot since his draft selection in the first round, which happened here in Kansas City. And then Cam Thomas, who the Chiefs went and traded for before the regular season, during the training camp cuts were taking place. So you'd like to think that those guys are going to be able to take care of business when it's time to get going here. All right, let's get into it here. If you guys have any questions, comments, let me know what's on your mind. I'm going to get things started here and give you guys my thoughts on a couple of things involving the Chiefs. Starting with, there's been a lot of talk about Travis Kelce and his slow start in the first three games here. Andy Reid has been talking about how defenses are zeroing in on Travis Kelce, not allowing him to be able to get open and make plays. But I think when you consider the fact that Kelce has been struggling statistically, yes, but he's been attracting all of that attention from defensive players. Meanwhile, Rashee Rice has not been double teamed a whole lot this year. So what happens when you choose to double team Travis Kelce? And I'm not shaming any defenses for doing that. I think that is what you're supposed to do. You're going to allow someone else to get open because it's not very easy to double team multiple players across the board. You just can't do that. It's not really easy to do on defense unless you do what the Bengals did against the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago, where they had two skill position players lining up next to Burrow in shotgun and serving as pass protectors. And then the Bengals only had three receivers to throw to, and all of them were double teamed at that point. That's the only way you can successfully double team every single pass catcher available, because that you're taking away eligible pass catchers if in that situation here. But I think when you double team Travis Kelce, what does that do? That allows someone else to get open, be able to make some plays. Well, who's been doing that for the Chiefs? Oh, yeah, a guy by the name of Rashee Rice, who's first in the NFL in receptions, first in the NFL in first down receptions, second in the NFL in, I take that back. He's first in yards after the catch, second in receiving yards, and third in first down receptions. So Rashee Rice has taken full advantage of defenses, essentially not giving him the respect that he deserves and giving all of that respect to Travis Kelce, which, if you're an offense, that's what you're supposed to do. Think about, let's break it down here. I mean, that's 11 on 11. Let's break it down like basketball, 5 on 5. And I'm not saying NBA teams and college teams don't do this. Every team does this. But I remember the very first time I started playing basketball, we were in practice, we were double teaming someone. And the coach stops us and goes, listen, you double team someone, fine. But when you do that, someone's open. And he's right. Now, take it to another level in a sport like football where it's 11 on 11. Obviously, the whole concept of double teaming is not exactly the same because offensive linemen are not eligible to catch catches. I guess a quarterback can, but that it's very, very rare. It doesn't happen often. But in those situations, you only have 5 guys to work with. But still, with the route running and everything, it's not easy to double team every single player. That's why you see a lot of teams run zone, because it's a lot more easier and you can react depending on certain routes that you see players run. So teams have decided to just zero in on Travis Kelce. And that's allowed a guy like Rice to be able to thrive and have the type of season he's had so far through 3 weeks. Now, I will say this. I think that's going to start to change a little bit. I think if you're a defensive coordinator, you have to say, hey, look, we're going up against a guy in the NFL who is right now top 5, really top 3 in every key receiving category, such as receptions, yards after the catch, and first down receptions. So we got to start paying attention to that guy by the name of Rice. And if they start changing their focus to Rice, who's going to get open more? Travis Kelce is the candidate for that. You know who else could get open in those kinds of opportunities is Xavier Worthy. We haven't seen a lot of Xavier Worthy so far to start off the season. And I know a lot of people were excited about him. In his first game in the NFL, had 2 touchdown catches. One was a rushing touchdown. One was a receiving touchdown. And listen, I gave him credit for those 2 scores. I mean, that was a huge reason why the Chiefs were able to win. But he only had 3 touches in that game. And I kept alluding, okay, you only have 3 touches. So it's a very small window here. It's nice that you got to score on 66% of the touches that you had in that game. That's great. Don't get me wrong. But I want to see more of the first round draft pick, especially with Hollywood Brown being out now likely for the entire regular season, maybe even all of January and February if the Chiefs continue to play well and make it to another Super Bowl. But he needs to get more open because he's got the speed to do a lot of work and a lot of damage to a defense. So I think what you're going to start to see is not by, and I'm sure Andy Reid is trying to come up with some strategies and game plans to get Kelce more open. I'm sure they've been working on that the last week or two. But what I think a big part of it is they just got to let defenses focus more on Rashee Rice. And when you see that, then you'll see Kelce go out there and have a big game. Listen, this is not Kelce's first time having quiet games. Now, 3 games in a row, yeah, that's definitely different for Travis Kelce. Ever since, 2016 when Travis Kelce became a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro, that's, I believe, his first 1,000-yard receiving season. We have not seen Kelce have 3 quiet games in a row. But what we have seen in the past, when you go back to when Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were together here in Kansas City, and even before Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback here, you would see games where Tyreek Hill would get all the attention from defenders and would have statistically a very quiet game. Does not mean he was useless or anything. He was attracting all of that attention, and that allowed Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, McCole Hardman, those guys to go out there and get open and make plays. And then when they would focus more on Travis Kelce and kind of take him away from the equation, statistically speaking, well, then what would happen? You would have Tyreek Hill go out there, have a big game, or Sammy Watkins or Robinson or whoever was with the Chiefs at the time, Albert Wilson, those guys. So you have to understand, like, yeah, I think you definitely expect more from Travis Kelce, but at least the Chiefs are not just sitting there saying, well, Travis Kelce's taken away and we can't do jack shit. No, you still have Rashee Rice right now, not just your best receiver on the team. The guy's one of the best receivers in the NFL right now, easily top 5 in the NFL. So when you at least have that going for you, you can at least sit here and say, hey, at least the Chiefs offense, they're doing something here. And listen, Nick Wright pointed this out today on his show, and I think it's kind of important to note because a lot of people haven't even realized this, but I didn't even notice this stat until today on Nick's show. The Chiefs are one of 4 teams in the NFL to score, I think, 20 or 21 in every single game. And by the way, all 4 teams who have been scoring 20 plus in every game, they're all undefeated right now. So listen, do the Chiefs need to step up and play better? Yeah, 100% the offense needs to play better. But let's slow it down a little bit. You know, I still remember this Chiefs offense a year ago. The first 2 games, not really pretty. No one had anything good to say about the Chiefs offense the first 2 weeks. Week 3, yeah, was a little different because they were blowing out Chicago, so they got to run off the scoreboard a little bit. And that was, of course, good old T Swift's debut. But uh, even after that, the offense was pretty quiet, and the Chiefs weren't scoring a whole lot by their standards. That is, they were still one of the top. They were still above average when it came to total yards per game and points per game. It just wasn't that, number one or number two offense that we have been so used to seeing here in Kansas City. So we've been accustomed to. So I think what happens is, and listen, kind of what I was alluding to, like 2018 when the Chiefs had the third highest scoring output in NFL history. I kept saying all offseason long, I'm expecting the Chiefs to have that kind of offense because they have Xavier Worthy. They have Hollywood Brown bringing him in and joining forces with Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and obviously Isaiah Pacheco. We haven't seen that, unfortunately, because Hollywood Brown's not playing. Isaiah Pacheco just recently got hurt, so he's going to be out for some time. They're bringing back Kareem Hunt. What kind of a player is Kareem Hunt going to look like? I don't know. Obviously, the coaches, Andy Reid saying he's looking good. The running backs coach saying he looks good. Travis Kelce says he looks like the same guy. Well, you're obviously not going to hear anyone say, well, he's aging, so he doesn't look like himself anymore. You're never going to hear that, of course. And listen, if he has a quiet game, his first game back, let's relax a little bit, because I'm not expecting a huge game from Kareem Hunt. I will expect more from him on Monday Night Football when the Chiefs play the Saints in Week 5, because I think this is, so here's my thing, and I said this on the podcast earlier this week. Last week was Kareem Hunt's training camp. He had a compact training camp because he had the surgery in January, so he was not with an NFL team, didn't have OTAs, did not have an actual training camp, no preseason whatsoever. So last week was Kareem Hunt's training camp. This week is going to be his preseason, and what I mean by that is he's going to get involved and have a few snaps and a couple of touches. I don't think it's going to be anything too big. I think Samaje Perine and Carson Steele are going to be your main guys when it comes to getting handoffs and being used out of the backfield. Kareem Hunt will be used a little bit. That's what I'm projecting for Sunday's game. But then I think that Monday Night Football game against the Saints, that's going to be Kareem Hunt's big game. I think that's going to be his first opportunity where he's going to have a lot of snaps. And by the way, for those of you who are just coming in here, never too late. Please ask a question, whatever's on your mind. I see a few questions already in the chat below here. So okay, I don't know what happened. That was a little weird. You guys, let me just check something. You guys still hear me? You see me? Yeah, let me know if you guys can hear and see me, because that was weird. I don't know what happened. I would say live TV, but we're not on TV. Technology, that's what you call it. Live streaming. Okay. Yeah, you guys all okay. Yeah. Sorry. Don't know what happened there. I went black for a few minutes and okay. All right, but we're good now. We're back. Okay. I don't even know what I was saying. Yeah, so Kareem Hunt. Last week was his training camp. This week, I think, is going to be his preseason game, essentially. And then next Monday night is going to be, I think, his first big game back, where he's going to get more touches, more snaps, all of those things. So I'm expecting just a little bit from Kareem. Hey, listen, even if he plays like a few snaps and gets a couple of touches and goes off on all those, great. I'm just not expecting that to be the case, though. I do think that with Kareem Hunt coming back and hopefully he can kind of return, I'm not expecting him to be like he was his rookie year or his second year, where he was one of the best running backs in the NFL. But we just need him to help carry the offense, just be serviceable. Because I think if defenses focus more on Rashee Rice, and if Kareem Hunt can kind of help the offense step it up a little bit, filling in for Isaiah Pacheco, then I think that's going to help Travis Kelce. I think it's also going to help out Xavier Worthy. You'd think that those two guys, Worthy and Kelce, are going to get going soon, and you need those guys. This week, you can probably get by with another quiet Kelsey game, but you'd like to kind of get him going a little bit because I think that Monday Night Football game is going to be a really big game for the Chiefs. Probably not one that a lot of people really thought much of before the schedule came out or when the schedule came out. But now it's like, okay, that's the Saints. I know they didn't look good last week against the Eagles, but they look like a better football team than a lot of people thought. A lot of people put all their focus on the Bucs and the Falcons. Might want to shift that towards the Saints here. With that said, let's go ahead and read some comments and questions. Again, please ask your questions below. Let me know what's on your mind. What are your thoughts? By the way, Kansas City Royals, they got a chance to clinch today. I know not everyone here is a Royals fan, but feels like it's been a decade since the Royals last made the playoffs. Oh, that's right. It's been a decade. Man. Can't wait. What a special time this is, because I remember when the Royals won the wild card game 10 years ago. I think almost 10 years to the date. And then the Chiefs 24 hours later, or I can't remember which one happened first, the Monday Night Football game or the wild card game, but there was that awesome 24, 48 hour moment where the Chiefs destroyed and beat the living hell out of the Patriots and got the record for loudest stadium in the NFL. And the Royals had that epic wild card game. People went ballistic online before the Royals comeback. People were like, fire Yost. Royals let us down. I was one of them. Oh, man. What a fun 24 to 48 hours that was. All right. Let's get right into it. Jim's going to kick us off here. They're double teaming Big Trav, though. Yeah, they are. And look, that's what defensive coordinators are supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do when you're facing an elite tight end. Do I think Travis Kelce is going to have the 10 touchdowns and 1,000 receiving yards this year? Probably not. I would easily bet no on that. And listen, I said before the season, I don't need Travis Kelce to have 1,000 receiving yards. Now, keep in mind, that was back when Hollywood Brown was still available for the Chiefs, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. I mean, we didn't have these injuries yet. So my expectation was, because there are so many players for Patrick Mahomes to work with in this offense, you don't need Travis Kelce to have 1,000 receiving yards. And right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. I think it's very safe to say that as long as he stays healthy, Rice is going to be the guy who gets the 1,000 yards this season. I hope Worthy has a big game Sunday. Yeah, I definitely think he's going to have a game at some point. With Derwin James missing out in action, someone's got to have a big game. So I think one of those two guys, Kelce or Worthy, one of them has to step up and have a big game. Casey needs to take care of business and not apologize for other team situations with injuries and suspensions. Take care of business. Yeah, well, you are 100% right on this, John. And I think I said this on the podcast earlier this week. The old adage is you never apologize for an opposing team's mishaps. It's not Kansas City's problem that Isaiah Likely barely had his toe out of bounds. It's not Kansas City's problem that Joe Burrow fumbled and the Chiefs were able to get that scoop 6 score. And that essentially was the big difference maker. Oh, and also, their the defensive rookie committing that pass interference. It's not your fault. You just can't. That's just the way things work sometimes. He does not always need to score to make an impact on the team. His leadership is huge for the morale and the young guys on the team. Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that, Vicky. I do disagree. I mean, he doesn't always need to score, but I think, as a leader on this football team, I think he's got to get going for sure. Not having to score every single, for sure. That's not a concern. But I think with Kelce, and I think this is something that Andy Reid, as a coaching staff, this is what you have to do when you see these kinds of issues arising. And I say that word lightly, issues, because Chiefs are still scoring 20 plus points every single game. They had a defensive touchdown on one of them, but hey, that's the way things work out sometimes. So hopefully the Chiefs can figure out how to get Kelce open in those situations, because Andy Reid's always been credited for getting Kelce open so much in a lot of plays. Let's welcome Coach Harbaugh to the NFL on Sunday. I know you meant Harbaugh, Jim, but that's pretty funny. Harbaugh. Eric says, you throw to who you're already comfortable with. Look at Keon Coleman with the Bills. Yeah. And I think, by the way, I didn't mean to bring this up here, but you just kind of reminded me of this, Eric. I got a lot of hate from Chiefs fans because in my power rankings, I put the Bills above the Chiefs. Listen, I ain't going to lie to you all. The Bills are playing the best football right now. You know me. I'm always going to keep it 100. If I think the Chiefs are the best team and they're doing their thing, I'll praise the Chiefs and let you know they're the best team in the NFL. If I think the Chiefs need to be criticized about anything, I'll let you all know. You guys know that with me. But right now, Buffalo is the best team. And I got a lot of people telling me, yeah, but Buffalo hasn't played anyone. You can only play who's on your schedule. And listen, I think this is the best Josh Allen has looked. Now, keep in mind, I did not crown them Super Bowl champions. I just think right now, week 3 going into week 4, they're the best team in the NFL. Plain and simple. Odds of Hollywood Brown being back sooner? Oh, I don't know about that, Robert. I know on his Twitch stream, he was trying to let people know he'd be back sooner, but I'm not really holding my breath on that one. I'm not. Listen, let him recover at this point. Take all the time he needs. I hope he plays a little bit, and if he doesn't, what do you do with him for the future? I don't know. That's a $1 million question with Hollywood Brown. I hope he comes back for another year. I really do. I think he becomes easier to re-sign. It's not like this guy can go and demand a big contract. This was kind of like a prove it deal for him, and unfortunately, he was not able to prove it. So he can get his $8 million for not really doing anything other than just rehab and recovery for the most part. Maybe he plays a little bit. Comes back on another deal because the Chiefs, Hollywood Brown was a huge part of Kansas City's offensive game plan this offseason. And I'm saying training camp as part of the offseason. So, just shit luck for it to happen on the first snap of the preseason. Yeah, Worthy's still being worked in here, but I think, and I'll say this too, Eric, because I think some people expected that it would be Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy to start off the regular season because there were some thoughts that Rashee Rice would be suspended to start the season. Instead, it's going to be next season to start things off. I've already gone over the details as to why it could be next season, so I'm not going to really go over that now. For anyone listening, watching, if you're going to complain about it, go check out my past live streams. I cleared that up there. But I still think, with at least one of those receivers being out, I think Worthy needs to be worked in a little more by now because what do we hear ever since the Chiefs drafted, even before the Chiefs drafted him? Fastest guy in the 40. Well, it's not just that. The guy can go out there, make plays, catch the ball, and get open. That's what we've heard, and we haven't really seen that from him. Yeah, Charlie, this is a really good point here. Juju Smith-Schuster is a guy that's going to get more involved, too, with the Chiefs. Obviously, he got a little bit more involved in that Falcons game, his first game where he had a catch. Should have had one against the Ravens, but we'll leave that there. This one here, he was able to get more involved. Rashee Rice gets injured. He has to go out for a play. What happens on the next play without Rashee Rice? You score a touchdown with Juju. So, what kind of a player is Juju going to be? Can he go back to what he was a couple of years ago? Because if he can, this is going to be a very good replacement for Hollywood Brown for the meantime, for right now. And listen, again, I don't want to look too far ahead, but what happens if the Chiefs find a way to keep everyone? What happens if they can keep Hollywood Brown, keep Juju? Because if you can re-sign those guys, Kelsey comes back for another year, maybe. You have obviously Xavier Worthy. Rice is going to be suspended to start off the season, but hey, he'll be fresh to come back mid-season, and that'll give you a big boost then. Again, that's more than a year away, but boy, I just love the idea of having Hollywood, Juju, Xavier Worthy, and Rice, and Kelsey, and Isaiah Pacheco, hopefully, maybe Kareem Hunt. But that's easier said than done. Yeah, the game's at SoFi this week, Teresa. Yes. Yeah, it still hasn't hit me yet that he's back. Yeah, Jody Fortson's back. Hopefully he stays healthy. This guy is a solid tight end. I don't think he's anything amazing, but man, for a fourth string tight end, that guy had some big catches for the Chiefs. Remember when he was behind Kelsey, Blake Bell, and Noah Gray on the depth chart, and he was going out there making some plays for the Chiefs. So I've always liked Jody Fortson. I don't know why it didn't work out for him in Miami. I'm glad he's back, and I hope he can stay healthy, because if the Chiefs start to use him more, That's gonna be pretty good for the Chiefs offense for sure. Yeah, that's what I heard, Eric. Yeah. Hopefully that's a nice little boost there for your offense in the playoffs. My only concern with that, and I've said this before, if the playoffs, if that's going to be your first actual game, man, it's like you kind of have to get acclimated with Mahomes because that's the point of the preseason, right? Especially when you have new teammates, especially between a quarterback and a pass catcher. That preseason can be used to kind of develop a connection and to kind of get a feel for one another. Because with Mahomes, we all know about Mahomes and Kelsey and how they can improvise plays together. Um, he's done that with a couple of other guys on the team. Hollywood Brown has not been able to get a feel for that yet. So if the playoffs are going to be his first time getting a feel for what it's going to be like to play with Mahomes, that's going to be a bit of a concern of mine. So I don't know how many snaps he would even be given to play if that's going to be when he comes back. Chargers have a bye week next week. They'll be playing hard to get to 2-2 before the bye. I hope our running backs have a great game, especially in the red zone. Yeah, red zone definitely needs some help for the Chiefs for sure. He won't be targeted much in the playoffs. He will just be the look over. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I get your point, Eric. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised by that. What surgery did Hunt have? I think it was a hernia surgery. Hernia surgery to repair a ruptured adductor. So, but he says he's feeling 100% now. So that was back in January the 30th. Yeah. So he had surgery before January the 30th, right before. So just to give you an idea there. B Dubs listening to the game plan. Who's B Dubs? Buffalo Wild Wings? Bengals fans being salty hacked. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. Oh boy. Look, they're not losing this week. The Bengals are not losing this week. They're not. They're playing the Panthers. And listen, Andy Dalton looked awesome. That's the freaking Raiders, okay? And I know the Bengals don't have a great defense. Far from it, in fact. But come on. The Bengals are not losing that game. They're just not. For now, Herbert, I believe, is playing for now. I did say at the beginning of the live stream, we don't know when the injury report is going to come out. I don't think it's been out yet for the Chargers, but he is expected to be a game time decision. So if it's not him, it's going to be Taylor Heineke. They also have Easton Stick as one of their backups. Remember Easton Stick? You know, when I was a kid, oh, you got the Angels hat. Yeah, of course, Robert. When I was a kid, I loved the movie Angels in the Outfield. So the Angels were always my second team just because of the movie. Plus, the Royals were shitty for so many years. So I had to have a second team. That's the way it kind of just worked if you're a Royals fan. And I remember the Angels beat the Giants in the World Series in what year was it? 03, 04, 05, somewhere around there. That was a good year for the Angels. They had Vladimir Guerrero. Dude, I was a huge baseball fan in like the early 2000s. Like I was into all sports. And it just, over the years, high school and college and all the responsibilities I had with school and outside of school, it was just so difficult to keep up with sports. I just, I think, listen, a lot of you guys are older than me. So you guys know just as well, like you got to kind of pick and choose your fun, your leisures, all that stuff. For me, I picked, the NFL and MMA, and even then, like MMA, I haven't really been keeping up with. I really wanted to this calendar year, kind of get back into MMA, but I just haven't. So I'm ashamed to say I've kind of turned into a casual MMA fan. But the Angels are usually good, though, aren't they? I mean, I don't know. I could be an idiot saying that right now because I have no idea. I don't follow the baseball. Yeah, what is Hey Siri, what is the score to the Royals baseball game? You have to say Royals baseball game because apparently there's a soccer team named the Royals. Top of the fourth, no score. Okay. We always gotta make it interesting, don't we? You know what's crazy is the Royals lost 7 in a row, and their standing placement didn't change much. Thank God. Because if there was ever a time for a team like Minnesota or Detroit to surpass the Royals, definitely would have been during that losing streak. Royals are pretty fortunate about that. Travis looks like he's doing more defending to let other guys be open. Yeah, I mean, perhaps. That's always possible. Yeah, Herbert is a game time decision. Yes. Chiefs offense might be worse than last year despite their efforts to improve it. Yeah, but Matthew, they're one of 4 teams to score 20 points in every game this year. I think a lot of people kind of get carried away with all of that. Oh, well, the offense doesn't look good. No, they certainly can look better, but I don't think they look as terrible as some people are making out to be. Does Kelce need to step up? Yeah, 100% needs to step up. Yeah, James Cook's having a great season. I've always been a big fan of the guy. Yeah, I've already answered this. If he can stay healthy, I don't know what their plans are in terms of trying to get him on the main roster. They have Peyton Hendershot, who's also a part of the team. He's now back on the practice squad, but I hope he gets an opportunity, because if he can stay healthy, man, he's got a chance to, not necessarily be like Travis Kelce or Tony Gonzalez, but he's got a chance to, contribute and do some good things in the pass catching game. I remember that one preseason game where he had 2 touchdowns a couple of years ago, and that was when you realize he's a good red zone threat. So given some of the struggles the Chiefs are still having in the red zone, might be interesting to see if they try to work Jody Fortson back into the fold. It would be awesome for Hunt to have an impact on the running game to help Mahomes with the passing game. Yeah, that's when you can get the running game going, that will open up the passing game. 100%, Brian. Definitely, like in the second half, when defenses are gassed out and tired, you do that play action, and they are not ready for that. Not at all. And that's how you can put teams away, which is something Kansas City has not been able to do. They had opportunities in week 1 and in week 3. And they didn't do that, putting teams away, that is. So hopefully, they can have a lead in the second half and find a way to go for that knockout shot right there. Hopefully they can do that. I just read that. The Saints and Falcons are even in their all-time head-to-head record. Who gets to win Sunday? I think I picked the Saints in that one. And listen, I like Kirk Cousins. I think he gets way too much shit for everything. I've never understood the hate with Cousins. I really haven't. Farzine, do you? I really don't get the guy. Like, what is there to hate about him? Because even when you look at some of his numbers, especially in the postseason, like, he's always put his team in position to win, but he's just never had the defense in the playoffs. But that's just my opinion. Am I going to any Chiefs games this year? Probably not. No. Went to 2 last year. Those are fun. Well, the first one was fun until the end when the Chiefs lost. That was against the Lions. The Raiders said the same thing. What did the Raiders say? That this is their year? By the way, speaking of the Raiders, they're without Devontae Adams and Max Crosby this Sunday against the Browns. Now, I already picked the Browns to win anyway. Dude, those are the only 2 guys. This is not me like talking shit or making fun of the Raiders. This is me just being straight up with you guys. If the Raiders do not have Max Crosby and Devontae Adams, who do you have on your team? Who's the best player on your team? Christian Wilkins? Brock Bowers? Your rookie tight end? Seriously, who do you rely on the Raiders? And look, I don't agree with firing a head coach in 1 year. I mean, the circumstance to even have that happen would have to be very unique and different. I just don't think AP has the personnel he really deserves. But I don't see Raiders fans being patient for very long with him right now. Look, if you're tanking, fine, whatever. You got to do what you got to do, I guess. But because the Raiders, they had the number 13 pick in the draft, and every quarterback they wanted went off the board. Bo Nix was the last quarterback available that should have been gone in the first round, and he went right before the Raiders could pick to the Broncos. So it's like, dude, come on. I don't know. I don't know what, like, realistically, and again, I'm saying realistically here, what do you expect from the Raiders? Because I don't know if I'm expecting. I think even the Broncos, like the people are not very high on the Broncos. I think the Broncos can go out there and win 5, 6, maybe 7 games. I don't see the Raiders winning more than 3 or 4. So, I hope that Christmas Day championship banner is still flying high, because that's all they really have to really brag about. Yeah, we talked about that, Charlie. Those are 2 great offensive linemen, Slater and Alt. Alt's a great rookie. He really is. I'd love to have him, but it's unfortunate. Okay, you're in Atlanta, Antoinette. All right. Did I watch the McMahon series? I think you meant McMahon. I saw parts of it. I have not finished the first episode yet. I thought it was going to be just like one thing. I did not realize this is going to be like a series. Excuse me. So the parts I've seen, I'm not like nothing terrible has been. There hasn't been like an awful revelation yet. Are all the episodes out, or are they doing it 1 week at a time? Because I know some Netflix shows release them all at once. I only saw 1 episode. I did. Now, being from Iran, I thought it was interesting how they talked about the Iron Sheik and how they were trying to utilize him during the revolution that was taking place in the Middle East. I was actually not aware that's when the Iron Sheik started with the WWE. So that was odd. I did not know that. I didn't know any of that. Shout outs to the Witch. I need to make my way back to Wichita. I have not been to Wichita in a lot. I don't know what to do in Wichita. Like, I mean, listen, I don't want to offend anyone from Wichita. But when I was at KU, I would ask, like, anytime I had a classmate say they were from Wichita, which, there makes sense. Wichita is a big town. It's not as big as the Kansas City area, but still a fairly big town. And I would ask my classmates, I said, what is there to do in Wichita? They looked at me, they laughed at me, and they go, nothing. I'm like, hold on. Wichita is like a town of what, 300,000 people. There's got to be something to do. There has to be something to do in Wichita. It can't just be nothing. I mean, listen, I don't think it's Kansas City where, there's a lot of stuff to do in downtown KC, but there's got to be some stuff to do in Wichita. Come on. Maybe you guys know. Maybe you guys can educate me on the Witch a little bit. Yeah, I've always liked Cousins. I don't get the hate for him. I never really have. Yeah, I think a lot of people did come around with Kirk Cousins, because okay, we're all Chiefs fans here. Everyone that's watching this live stream, you guys watch that show Quarterback because of Patrick Mahomes. And this is no like disrespect to Mahomes or to Brittany, but let's be honest here. They're not necessarily the most relatable people in the world. They fly privately. They don't go to the airport. They don't go through TSA like we do. The way they fly, the stuff they wear, I mean, they live that elite, luxurious lifestyle. And again, no shame, no disrespect to any of that. They earned that. That's the lifestyle they have. But you listen to Kirk Cousins' wife on the show. She's like, yeah, we get all our clothes from Target. It's like, okay, there are a lot of people that can just right off the bat relate to these people. They're literally walking down the street, walking their dogs. They're not concerned about being stopped. Patrick and Brittany can't just walk their dogs. And I know they got their dogs and people are aware of their Silver and Steel, but they can't just go out there and, go for a walk in their neighborhood, because they're going to get stopped everywhere they go. I remember Mahomes mentioned on Halloween last year or the year before how, everyone was respectful and they didn't stop him when they saw him. I don't believe that. I just don't. I'm sure there were. I think he like stayed on the street, and Brittany was the one going to the doors with the other kids and whatnot, the other parents. But there's a reason why Mahomes flies privately. He used to, back when he was a backup for Alex Smith, he would always sit in the stands with everyone else for Royals games, Chiefs games, Big 12 games, downtown KU games. Now he just he can't sit in those places anymore. He's got to sit in his own box, which he can't do for KU basketball games because KU does not have that in their arena. And he would just get bothered the entire time. Thoughts on Clyde Edwards-Helaire's role when he comes back, him and Hunt? That is a really good question from Charlie here. I don't know what to expect from Clyde Edwards-Helaire when he comes back. What happens to Samaje Perine? How much do you use Carson Steele. And then, let me just add to that question a little bit, because Isaiah Pacheco, it's not going to be anytime soon, but he's going to eventually come back here. And that's another guy that you got to figure out. Like someone's getting demoted here, and it could be Perine, and Perine might get picked up by another team on the practice squad. I don't know. So I'm very curious to see on another team's main roster. I meant to say not practice squad. Yeah, I don't know what the running back room is going to look like on the field with Perine, Steele, Hunt, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know what that's going to look like. Why are the Royals games not shown in KC? What? I don't know. I'm not in front of a TV right now. I had issues with DirecTV years ago, though. Like, for whatever reason, I was not getting Royals games, even though I live in the Kansas City area. And I called DirecTV, and I think you guys all know this just as well. Like, these call centers are not in the United States. So when I called DirecTV, I'm like, hey, I live in Kansas City, and I'm not getting Kansas City Royals games. And the person on the phone was not really understanding what the Kansas City Royals were, because they're in another country. They don't know American sports. So she was looking up my account, and she saw I had NFL Sunday Ticket back when Sunday Ticket was with DirecTV, and she goes, "Oh, are you calling about a Sunday Ticket issue?" I'm like, "No, this is a baseball team in my area. Like, come on." So, yeah, I don't know why. I was just reminded of that because you mentioned the Royals game not being available on TV, but they eventually fixed it. They had no idea why that was happening with my receiver, but the Royals are now down. Oh, lovely. We just gotta make it interesting. Still early, though. Still early. Cousins hidden trophy room at his house is pretty cool. I think, yeah, I remember they showed that on the show. Yeah, I do remember seeing that. Yeah, they are screwed. Like, that is your team right there if you're the Raiders. Because I remember when the Chiefs were bad, who were their best players? Tony Gonzalez, Dwayne Bowe, Jamal Charles, and Tamba Hali. And that was it. And then Tony Gonzalez got traded, Jared Allen got traded, and you had like only 2 or 3 really good players. That's the Raiders right now, literally. That is the Raiders. And without those two, like, you have no one. Literally no one. What's up, Waffle MOD? Lego my ego. Not much to do in the Witch. Go to concerts when they come. Go to a Windsurge baseball game. Or the casinos. Kansas Star Casino and Crosswinds Casino is all over. What? Come on. There's got to be more than that in which. Come on, Charlie. Are you sure? Oh, man. See, I've only been to Wichita a couple of times. Once was for a broadcast convention. It was just a day convention. And then I drove past Wichita once. So when I was in KU, our newspaper team, it was the 4 of us, 2 writers and 2 photographers. We drove to Norman, Oklahoma for the KU Oklahoma game, in which KU just got destroyed. I don't even want to talk about it. And then we drove back to the Wichita area. I don't remember exactly what city, but the photographer, we stayed at her mom's place for the night, and then we went back to Lawrence the next morning. So I have not really done much in Wichita. I've been in Manhattan twice. That was for, again, with the football crew, the newspaper crew. We covered the KU K-State game. Again, we got our asses kicked. That was just a theme that year for KU football. I had Cox Barbecue in Manhattan. That was pretty good. I don't really remember it too well, but I do remember liking it. And then my brother and I went a few years ago. I actually got to explore the city a little bit. I never really got to see Aggieville. I did have Varsity Donuts. That was really, really good. Yeah, that's. I'd love to. If you guys got suggestions for Manhattan and Wichita and Topeka. Topeka does have the burger stand, but Lawrence has that also. Yeah, let me know. Let a brother know. What's my score prediction? I'm going 24-13. So yeah, I'm kind of like you. Lego my ego. I think we should win by double digits. But you know how it's going to work. We're going to win by a field goal or some controversial call to end the game. You can't forget Derek Johnson during those years. No, I mean, listen, I didn't forget Derek Johnson. 2011 and 2012 when the Chiefs were bad. Yeah, he was a part of. I'm referring to like 07, 08, 09. That was before Derek Johnson stepped up. Derek Johnson really got off to kind of a slow start in his NFL career. That 2009 finale, remember that game against the Broncos? Jamal Charles had 259 yards. Derek Johnson had 2 pick sixes, 2 Texas Longhorns just kicking ass in that game. And what did the Chiefs do in that game? They destroyed the Broncos and they eliminated them from playoff contention. The Broncos had to win that game. All they had to do was win and they were in. And that was the Broncos starting off 6-0 with Josh McDaniels, that Broncos team. So, yeah, no, definitely didn't forget Derek Johnson, but I'm referring, 07 to 09 timeframe, just to be clear about that. Because I mentioned Gonzalez and Jared Allen. And unfortunately, Derek Johnson didn't step up and play well when Gonzalez and Allen were in Kansas City. So one of those, woulda, coulda, shoulda moments. Yeah, I saw that today. That's good. Yeah, the Chiefs have been kind of fortunate with that to have like, you go from Marcus Allen to Priest Holmes. Well, there was a little bit of a gap in between those two guys, but then, Priest Holmes gets hurt. You get Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson gets in trouble. Jamal Charles goes off. Jamal Charles goes down with an injury. Well, Spencer Ware and Charkandrick West, they pick up the slack. And then you draft Kareem Hunt, and then he gets in trouble and gets kicked off the team. Damian Williams, he at one point held the franchise record for postseason touchdowns. And then you got Isaiah Pacheco, who hasn't necessarily thrived compared to other running backs. He hasn't necessarily been top 5, but he's been doing a really good job carrying the rushing attack for you. And now you got Kareem Hunt back. So it's been kind of a weird carousel of running backs. Like, the Chiefs have had great running backs, but not for like a long period of time. And I don't think you ever will, because you just don't see that a lot in the NFL today. Even like Derrick Henry, as much as I like Derrick Henry, his longevity in Tennessee was not very long. I guess like nowadays, if you can get a running back that's good for 3 or 4, like really, really good for 3 to 4 years, that's considered longevity at the NFL, to put a running back position now in today's NFL. Charles could have had the single game record, but he didn't want it. He let the backups go in there, have some fun, which that's always nice. But boy, I'm just trying to think, like, in terms of single game performances, Mahomes has had a couple of 6 touchdown games, but who's like had some of the best single game moments in Chiefs history? Obviously Derek Thomas, and I know it's always talked about the one sack that he didn't get was the one that cost the Chiefs the game, but still 7 sacks in one game. That's the NFL record. Deron Cherry had the 4 sacks, or I'm sorry, not 4 sacks, 4 picks. Johnson and Charles in the same game going off. I'm trying to think, like, who else has had monster, like, historic? Travis Kelce's had a few, Yeah, there are some notable moments for sure in Chiefs history with single game performances. But yeah, he could have had the record there, Chris. That would have been awesome. I love comments like these. My grandson is 5. He has only known the Chiefs as AFC champs and Super Bowl champs. Lucky him. He does not know what it's like to blow a 28-point lead in Indy, the no punt game, the Lynn Elliott game. He does not know any of that stuff. Don't even teach him those moments. He'd be like, wait, that was us at one point? I think I saw something once where like a 22-year-old or a 21-year-old from Boston, all they know is success with the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, the Red Sox. Like, good for that kid. Good for that 21-year-old. I work at Textron here in Wichita, and we are all on strike. Oh, that sucks. Been walking the picket lines for past few days. Air capital of the world is hurting now. Well, never want to hear those kinds of things. So hopefully that gets figured out, and hopefully you and everyone in your industry can get what you guys are asking for. Charles is my favorite running back of all time. I wish he never had that second ACL tear where he was never the same. Yeah, that's, how many years did the Chiefs have Charles for? 2008 through 2016, 2017. So, 2016, yeah, because in 2017 he came back and he fumbled with the Broncos, coincidentally. That's the longevity you'll get in the NFL. It won't get better than that in today's NFL. And I know even then the NFL has changed, but yeah, man, Charles has always been like, and I'm talking like, early on, like you just saw it with his speed. He had a lot of fumbles. Travis Kelce has a lot of drops, but the guys like Kelce and Charles can, make you forget about that with their play. And Charles was just great. And by the way, while we're on this topic, like the one thing in Chiefs history I will never forgive, because you just mentioned Todd Haley in your next comment, Steven. In 2010, and I don't know whose call this was, if it was Todd Haley or if that was Charlie Weiss. Why in the hell did Thomas Jones have more carries than Jamaal Charles? I will never understand that. And listen, I love that duo of Jamaal Charles and Thomas Jones. I thought that was awesome. I said before the season started, I was contributing to a local magazine. I said the Chiefs are going to be awesome and they're going to have the best rushing attack in the NFL. And they were number one in that category that season. But why the hell did Thomas Jones have more carries than Jamaal Charles? That made zero sense. Like to this day, I still have not gotten over it. That's how bitter I am over that. Like, I think that would have made a difference in one or two games. I like, come on. How does that happen? But yeah, his second ACL tear, Steven, that was rough. I hated that. Bona bootleg for a touchdown run, 80 yards. I remember Alex Smith had a very similar one. He ran 70 yards. It wasn't a touchdown, but man, he almost got there. Yeah, and that Broncos team, that was a disaster. There was a rumor that he wanted to be released before week 17. Back when that was the final week. Random, anyone see John Elway on The Masked Singer? He can't sing. What? Hold on. I'm looking this up. I am looking this up. John Elway. Oh, that's literally the first suggestion on YouTube. John Elway Masked Singer. I don't know if I'm allowed to show the copyright of this, but screw it. Let's go. It's 90 seconds.
Oh. Good question. I'm not sure. I was definitely not in my comfort zone doing this, but I'm in retirement now. Yeah. I had the opportunity, and
he was the first voted out. I believe that.
Yeah. Like a true legend. So is there anything you want to say, Poppy? Jump out of the league.
Where is him singing? Where's the part that he sings? By the way, I don't know if you guys saw Grotesquerie with Travis Kelce. By the way, I love how Travis Kelce was. So they showed the first two episodes Wednesday night, and Kelce was not in either of those episodes. And a lot of Swifties tuned in just to see him. I mean, listen, if I'm being honest, I did the same thing, but I also had I had it on the second TV. I was trying to catch up on other TV that I was behind on, but that was funny how Travis Kelce was not in. I don't know what the ratings were. I'm sure it was good. You know how Swifty Nation works. They're always out there supporting. So, remind me of Neil Smith going to the Broncos and winning a Super Bowl with him and Derek Thomas. So, oh man, now that's. I'm just trying to think. Like prior to Mahomes and Kelce, what was the best duo in Chiefs history? It had to be, Derek Thomas and Neil Smith. I mean, right now you have to put Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce as number one. Number two is Thomas and Neil Smith. Who would you put at number three for best duo? I would say Tamba Hali and Justin Houston. I mean, those guys together, like it was just unfair. It literally was not fair to opposing offenses. Do you remember Kimball Anders, a traditional fullback who moved to a feature back? Yeah, I've compared Carson Steele to Kimball Anders. I feel like that's the type of player Carson Steele is. So, yeah, I do think he's a Kimball Anders type of running back. And didn't Kimball Anders I think he led the team in rushing yards 1 year, maybe 2. At least 1. Yeah, I want to say Tony Richardson led the team in rushing 1 year. Let me look that up because I'm kind of curious on that right now. Single season leaders. Let me look that up. Oh boy, what am I even looking at here? Okay, it is not easy to look it up this way. Okay. I see what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, I just want to know who in the mid 90s led the team in rushing yards after Marcus Allen. Because didn't Kimball Anders do it one time? Let's see. There's Marcus Allen in 95. Was he with the team in 96? Kimball Anders at 200. Who led the team? Okay, Marcus Allen was with the team in 96. 97. Allen was still on the team, but he didn't lead the team in rushing yards. Greg Hill did. So what about 98? I swear there was 1 year Kimball Anders led the team in rushing yards. Bennett led the team in rushing yards with 527. 99. What? I swear I thought Anders led the team in rushing yards 1 year. Okay. Clearly I am not remembering it right. Yeah. Okay. Weird. Yeah, Christian Okoye, man, he was awesome. He really was. And if he got into football at an earlier age, he probably would have, maybe learned more along the way and maybe had a longer career. I don't know. I mean, I know he dealt with some injuries, and I've talked to Joe Valerio about that before. But dude, that guy, Chiefs have had a lot of great running backs, like Christian Okoye. And Joe Delaney, some people feel like he was maybe the most talented running back the Chiefs ever had. Unfortunately, did not have a very long career. Obviously remembered as a hero for what he tried to save those kids. But man, his level of play was exciting too. So it's just unfortunate. There's been a lot of what ifs with this franchise, especially at that running back position, man. Delaney, Christian Okoye, what if Marcus Allen played here a longer period of time? Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Kareem Hunt. It's unfortunate. There's been a lot of good luck and a lot of bad luck at that running back position for the Chiefs over the years. All right, with that said, I think we've covered enough here, going down memory lane quite a lot tonight, which nothing wrong with that. Always fun, always nice. I always like it when we kind of go off topic anyway. It's always boring when we just stick to one thing. But with that said, I appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the Red Friday Live Chat. I am Farzin Vousoughian. A reminder, we will be doing our pregame live chat this Sunday, 11 o'clock Central Time, so join me for that. And then we'll do our halftime live stream when the Chiefs and Chargers game goes to the half while the players are in the locker room. And then after the game, we will be doing the Chiefs Zone podcast live. The link will be available for you guys to call in with your thoughts, your questions, all that stuff after the game. Hopefully we can recap another win as the Chiefs hopefully can improve to 4-0. All right, guys, I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Peace out.